Nikki, as a business owner, everybody knows you have to have KPIs. Everybody knows that. But how do I select which KPIs to pay attention to?
Okay, so just for clarity, KPIs are key performance indicators. So these are indicators that the management team can utilize to see how the business is performing. What I always recommend is not to have more than 4 of them, because the more that you have, the more your attention is diluted across them. So you can actually even have less if you wish. But how to choose them? So I typically would review with a client how is their business doing? What are their key concerns? What are their drivers to success in their business? Now, if you can work out which are the drivers for the success, you can then choose the appropriate key performance indicators, KPIs, that can measure those things. So for example, if you don't have consistent sales and you really need to be producing new sales all the time, you may be wanting to monitor how many leads are coming into the business. Because then you usually can see with a regular conversion factor what your sales will be. So by monitoring the amount of leads you're getting into the business, you can hopefully secure the future sales. So it's not waiting until you've actually had the sales and adding those up and saying, oh yes, that's great. It's actually looking at what are the things that are going to create those sales, as an example. Another thing that you could be looking at, now this is it's not a funny one, actually, it's a very serious one, but one that we used to have, and in fact we still would have in engineering businesses, for example. If you are constructing a huge big engineering project, example the Channel Tunnel, or some huge nuclear power station, you actually have as an indicator how many people have actually died, which is an awful thing. But what you want, obviously, is have to 0. But the reality, unfortunately, is in certain parts of the world, there's not such good health and safety, etc., and you end up having accidents on the job, and unfortunately you can then end up with fatalities. So that's obviously a real eye-opener and one that you don't want to have. So in that, you'd either, and again, what's the point of, you wouldn't have as your KPI the final how many fatalities. You'll be looking at what health and safety improvements can you do to prevent that eventuality.